right, fish on. Right off the corner.
On that white spinnerbait?
White spinnerbait.
How come you told me to use a chartreuse when you catch all the fish?
Well,
Need help with that, boy?
I think we'll flip him.
There we go.
All
It's
right.
a decent sized smallie. Well, we're up on the north branch of Susquehanna. We're fishing mud, I guess, today, right?
I would say mud, yeah. We had a lot of rain, or New York had a lot of rain last night, and it is coming down today. I'm going to back us out here a little bit so we don't crash.
Well, that's good. You got a little bip on him there.
Yeah, he's a little rough right there.
Well,
Now, he caught before. There's a catch and release mark.
yeah. All right, we'll put him back. Bob Murray, I'm out here with LB Guide Service, my good friend. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one. All right.
I think he's hooked all that well, so we're going to keep the pressure on him.
It's jumpy.
Yeah, there we go.
Good job.
Nice one, about a 14, 15 inch. Old fiddle.
He ain't giving up.
Yeah,
Nice belly
he's,
button, though.
he's a little slippery. There.
Nice little belly button. Well, I'm back up here on the Susquehanna River with my good friend Lance from LB Guide Service. And Lance, we've been talking back and forth to get up here. Boy, we picked a great time this time, didn't we?
Oh, everything, the weather just wasn't the best. Mother Nature kind of jumped on us.
Right. Well, let's just talk about Mother Nature and what we're actually trying to do to combat our situation here. We got high, muddy.
High water, the water was coming up last night. So as you know, it pushes these fish in towards the edges.
Mm-hmm.
The fish that we've been catching today have been pretty close, foot or two off the edge.
Right.
Of course, it's so muddy you can't, well, this black tube, you can probably see 3 inches, which means the fish might see 3 to 4 times farther if
Yeah.
we're lucky.
Right.
And you got to get pretty close to them.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's almost like hitting him on the head today.
Pretty much, yeah.
And again, kind of what we're doing here, we're just working these little eddies, right? Because you say sometimes
Right.
like that, where we're up there, that was like 10 feet deep, and now it's gonna, well, this is a pretty steep bank here, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much a steep bank. Anywhere where we see these eddies where the water is swirling a little bit, you know that they're in there getting out of this heavy rising current,
Yeah.
getting out of the pressure of the area.
Right. Because when we were coming up today, all the little streams that we saw were clear.
Yeah.
And we expected this would be clear, but it's not, because it's coming, we're up in the North Branch, obviously, to Susquehanna, and the water's coming from New York, I guess.
Right, this is coming from New York. They had some major storms last night that went across the southern tier of New York, which is just over our border
Yeah,
here.
that's right, not very far.
It's not very far, it's 30 miles at the most.
Yeah.
And it really, really hit us hard. I mean, yesterday, yeah, it was stained. Today, it is definitely muddy and rising.
Right,
It's rising while we're here.
Yeah, right. And that's another thing that's killing us too, with that rising water coming
That's
up.
right. It's tough fishing, but never impossible.
No. Well, let's go. Let's
Okay,
get back there.
sounds like good
Show me
deal.
another one.
Alrighty.
Lance, we've just come up on this, we don't call an eddy, obviously. And you can see how it's backing up. You like these kind of spots on the river, don't you?
Yeah, I do, especially when this water is rising like it is and dirty. It gives the fish a nice release, you might say, from the fighting the current, and they'll come out to the edge of it what we call the seam, and they'll stage themselves along the edge of that seam and wait for their bait fish to go by, or whatever kind of bait it might be, and go out and ambush it. But this one in particular is a pretty decent one because you're coming from shallow water up probably 50 yards. It's 2 foot. It's coming down into this 10-foot deep section, pushing the bait against the next point, and it pushes the bait fish and everything right against it. So
Yeah.
it's a good ambush point.
Yeah, a lot of times, but now, because it's so hard to see, would there be grass in here too, or just there's just too much pushed in?
Well, you know, in an eddy this size, there's always going to be a lot of structure because the wood, everything that's floating down, well, that's slowed to almost a dead stop. It'll go in there and it'll slowly sink. So sometimes it might be a pain in the drain to fish it because there's everything down there, but the fish love all that structure down there, and it's always a great ambush point for them.
And you could fish it with a variety of baits, right?
A variety of baits, yes. Crank baits, jigs, spinner baits, you name it. It's got an area in it for every one of them in here.
Right. And you had mentioned when you have your clients out here, they say, how deep are we going to fish? And you say between 2 and 10.
Right.
Which is about right for this kind of a river. But what you had said too is what you wanted baits tied on different rods so that when you get to a certain spot, that jig will be better in that spot. Now at this spot, it could be a spinnerbait, and
That's right.
we're staying in that water column.
And that'll give you a chance to fish it without taking 5 minutes out to retie
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
And I always like to have at least a jig for the bottom of some kind. Doesn't have to be any particular, but something on the bottom. I like a spinnerbait to go through the midsection. I like a crankbait. And when the fall comes or the cold water comes a little bit, I love to have one on the top, all ready to go.
We should almost throw topwater today. Maybe we could scare them into bite.
Well, maybe. They probably have to come up out of this mud and see where they are.
Yeah, yeah. Talked about the eddies and stuff like that, but there's a lot of other structure that you know around here to look for that will hold fish. What would that be?
Well, this particular section that we're doing right here, in the back there's a deeper trough through that eddy, but in the center we've got a mound, and lots of times they'll be on the drop off on the inside and right in front of the boat. It's not unusual to catch one right in front of the boat here. That's because we're coming across we're only in 3 and 4 foot of water right now. 2 foot out front, the eddy is probably 4 foot. The bottom down through here, now this is the slower section of the river. The other side of the river is the main channel. Therefore, this area will pick up a little bit more weeds, a lot of wood structure mixed with a rock. It's a good place for the fish to be. A lot of bait fish in here. They're all looking for this, especially when this water comes up so fast.
Right, right.
They don't like to be in that real fast water either. That's too much work for them.
Right.
So when the water comes up fast and hard like it is today, they like being in this slower water. We still have current, but they also have the option of going out and searching. They don't have to hug the structure so tight.
Right, right. We have a nice cloud cover.
Yeah, that's to our advantage today.
Yeah.
When that sun comes up high, the fish likes to hold closer to structure. When they have an overcast day, they'll be out searching for food.
Yes. Now you talk about coming up high and fast and all that. You check the river flow. I mean, you do because you have a jet boat. You want to see what that flow is. Am I correct?
I check it every morning on the computer, on the river. There are every so many miles, there are gauges, flood gauges. And like today, the depth wasn't too bad. Today, the depth was like 2.7 feet. I've known over the years, anything less than 5 or 6 foot, my customers, I know they're going to catch fish. Again, with the flow is measured cubic feet per minute. Anything less than 10,000 cubic feet per minute is usually a guarantee we're going to get some fish. Today it's right around 7,000, but I believe it's rising. So really the depth and the current is fine with us. It's just with all that extra water coming so quick, we've had a lot of flash flood type of thing in New York.
Right.
And it's just riled up the bottom so and brought the dirt down from New York that it is mud today.
Yeah.
It is tough, but you always catch fish. You just got to work for them.
Yeah, that's it. We've been working.
Got to use those muddy water tactics.
That's it. That's it.
I always tell the people in the muddy water, increase your profile a little bit and slow down. They got to find it.
Right.
They can't eat something they can't find. With the exception of my spinner baits, any of my cranks or jigs, I like to go dark. Almost, well, this one's black with some chartreuse specks in it. If you, like, black is the best color, contrast color you can get in mud.
That's right.
Nothing is darker than black.
That's right.
Even the mud is not darker than black. So, contrary to some people, they think, oh, I got to have a chartreuse or white or whatever. Well, that disappears in mud.
That's right.
Black does not. So that's why we go with our best percentages of catching something. And the exception is when we're throwing spinner baits with big vibrating blades.
Yeah, that's why I'm giving that big profile with
Right.
my bait.
You got the big profile, you got the vibration. So you don't necessarily need a dark color in mud with a spinnerbait.
Right. I don't know, how about for the people just want to see the show? We're on the North Branch of the Susquehanna. Species of fish are basically known for smallmouths.
Smallmouth is probably, I'll bet you smallmouth is 85% of the population.
Really?
We also have rock bass, and those populations seem to go up and down year to year. We also got the carp, channel cats. Now in mud, channel cats are active in mud.
I would expect we were going to hit one of those today.
That's right.
Well, we still might.
People think that the channel cat will just eat that slow dead stuff on the bottom, stinky stuff on the bottom.
They'll whack a bait any day.
You betcha. They'll chase a crankbait down. They'll go after a jig. Channel cats are quite the predators, actually. Besides channel cats, of course, we have the northern pike and the muskie. We have a few what we call quillbacks, which are very interesting fish.
Right.
You know, they have the dorsal fin that goes right up, straight up from the bottom. I think they're quite unique. And you know what? Those little quillbacks, well, they usually go 3 to 5 pounds.
Wow.
And they're flat. It's like the poor man's
like a permit.
Like a permit.
Oh, yeah.
They're flat and they fight like crazy. It wouldn't bother me to have a bunch of them around. But there's not a lot of them around. But when you get a hold of one, it's not like a carp or a sucker,
Right.
which we have 2 species of suckers. But they will fight, they will zip all over the place. You think you've got the biggest smallmouth in the place, and it ends up to be a quillback.
Now, let's just not change those, but you do keep copious records of your fish.
That's
Counts,
right. Yes.
Right? Counts of every day. And you can go on to your website, which comes with ours too, and find out how many fish you caught that day. And you do a little thing now, your multimedia thing here. You're tweeting out or your pictures. Right on the boat.
As we're fishing during the day, I'll take a picture with my camera and put it right over on Facebook.
Right.
Just to show you how we're doing throughout the day.
So if you want to catch Lance is doing out on the water, go to your Facebook page, friend him.
Right.
And you can see how Lance does, which makes Mike and I jealous because we're watching you catch 16 fish in one morning. And
well, You won't see it today because we're not taking pictures today.
That's right.
It might be a good thing.
That's
but
right.
We're not taking the phone camera pictures today and sending them out. I do expect tonight when I go home there'll be several emails saying, "What's wrong, Lance? Didn't you go fishing?" Because we do it every day.
Right.
Now the big ones, I'll take a picture with my more professional camera and I'll put them on the a different page of the. I'll put them right on the LD Guide page of Facebook. Whereas the ones we catch incidentally throughout the day, I'll put on the Lance Dunham page.
There you go. So now you can keep an eye on Lance
Yeah.
while he's out here and find out what's going on. We didn't talk about this. You had mentioned you have a variety of rods rigged up with different baits on them.
Mm-hmm.
But the one you're using right now is a rod that you just use for that tube, or just happen to tie it on that one?
This happens to be an all-pro rod made in Tennessee, 6.5 foot, but it's a light rod.
Mm-hmm.
All Pro is one of the few companies that'll make a light bait casting rod.
Mm-hmm.
And where it might not be more of a work tool, say as a medium you would use more often, a 7-foot medium.
Mm-hmm.
This 6.5 foot light. I like it because I'm out here 10, 12 hours a day.
Right.
It's light. I can flick it with one wrist and send that as far as I want. I've got it combined with a core, Shimano core reel.
A small reel too.
It's a small reel. A lot of ball bearings, 7-to-1 ratio. I don't have to work so much. Like I say, I'm out here all day. It's light, and it's a fun rod.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a fun rod. If I
And
was
it's quite sensitive.
right, is extremely sensitive. All the all-pro rods
Yeah,
are,
well,
are very. And you got one too,
I'm
right?
using one too.
I've got the medium heavy for the cranking rods, medium rods for different things.
And your line, now that's another.
Well, the line that I personally use, there's so many good lines
yeah.
out there. I just happen to use on the outside a 16-pound Stren Magnathin.
Mm-hmm.
I've just always used it. It is very thin. The only time I would have to possibly put fluorocarbon on the end is when this river gets clear, crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
But this river seldom ever gets crystal clear.
So
Most of the time this will work just fine. Another little thing I do, half of my spool underneath this is braid. I will fill this half full of braid. Now it happens to be a 30-pound braid, but I use it more as a filler. The braid is light. The braid will make my arbor spin quicker, my spool. And it will give me a little bit more casting distance. And when it gets down, instead of having to replace the entire reel full, I'm only doing half. And it saves me a lot of money on my primary line. And it works very well. A thin line will go down quicker.
Right.
I can get deeper with my cranks. It's a very sensitive thing. When I'm casting with this, I always cast a little bit up. Presentation, as you know, is key to jig fishing. And I always have my tip between the 10 and 11 o'clock position. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting it up off those rocks as I go. I just twitch my wrist. That's all I need to do, and it'll make that little jig just jump all the way down through. And it gives a little more action.
And one of the things I had mentioned, you can get stuck. You pull that out how many times already today?
Oh, quite a few. I saved this one.
I saved a lot of money on that.
Yep.
All right, get it in there. Let's catch another.
All right.
And now for a closer look at today's tackle, Delaware Valley Outdoors presents the Tackle Box. For more information about the tackle used on today's show, go to DelawareValleyOutdoors.com.
All right, Lance, we're at the tackle box, and I think we could use some C4 today, but
Right.
what the heck?
Well, for the mud, we actually came through though. We caught fish.
We did. Now, the bait that I have here, we didn't use, but you talked to me about this one because you do use this a lot when you're out
Right.
fishing.
That's from JJ's Jigs. That's a new. Actually, it's one of his new prototypes, and it's a swimming jig with black bear hair on it and some black chenille and a black feather, and of course in the mud we're using black, and it gives a big profile,
It does.
which is what I'm after out there in the mud. I've caught a lot of fish on it. Works very well, but that's the JJ's Jigs swimming jig.
Right now we have this one. This is a tried and true example of a bait.
Now that particular one, that's a rage tail baby crawl, and it's hooked on a Moner hooks, what they call their slider one. It's a good bait for the river, because a good setup for the river, a good rig, because I can do it weedless. Now weedless, not so much weeds, but we've got tons of rocks sticking up, and that helps it glide over the top of
over
those
the-
rocks.
yeah.
It ticks across. I can run it slower.
And now color-wise, is this one of your favorite colors, or is that
That's my favorite color in the mud.
in the mud? In the mud.
They have many different colors. Usually, as the water gets a little more clear, I'll go to more of the, they call it the Alabama color, which is an orange and a green pumpkin, or I'll go straight to a green pumpkin, something a little bit more natural looking. The crayfish, naturally we don't have any black crayfish, but
Right. Well,
black
just
is the best to see.
Yeah, that's the color. All right, and now this is an interesting bait here.
This is one of my favorites. This is it's a black baby crawl, rage baby crawl, and it's hooked on a Moner Predator jig, and I've attached a skirt to it, and that gives it bigger profile.
And that
Because-
flares out and stuff.
Right, it flares out, it gives a bigger profile, and it gives a slower rate of fall, and the fish can find it quicker.
Yeah. Now talk just a little bit about these tails here. I want to.
The rage tail?
Yeah.
The rage tail has a,
That's a newer bait out.
it lasts probably, I don't know, 3 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've never had a plastic bait vibrate as hard as the rage does. Especially, they've got the patented flanges on the edges of it. And you can just put that in the river and not move it, and those flanges are just going nuts. They're vibrating like crazy. It all helps attract the fish. Little vibration, in a jig you don't have a whole lot.
No.
But now you could also, if you want, slide a glass rattle down the side of it too.
That's true. And then we use all
Get
that.
a little extra.
All right. Were you up late one night trying to figure this out, or tell me about this bait? I mean, we know about it, but it's a funny looking thing.
Yeah, actually, I was on the internet online, and and I saw somebody mention it, and I looked it up, and the theory behind it's a shimmer bait, and the theory behind all of the crooked little things here, it vibrates more in the water. Not only does the Colorado blade vibrate for you,
Right.
but this will actually go up and down in the water also. The arm will move up and down easier.
This is basically a spinner bait on steroids.
It's a spinnerbait on steroids.
Yes. And again, you get the
I've got
tail.
the Rage Menace, twin tail menace on the end to give it even more flap on the end of it. Anything I can do to attract those fish in the mud.
Yeah. And this is, I like this red and black color too myself.
Yeah, yes it is.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to the two go-to baits. We tried. Well, we went to these, but we had to go to this.
Right.
All right. Now this is a bait that you use, and it's from a local guy too.
Right. I use that daily. I've got all different colors of it. That particular one, that's Adam Custom Lures, and they're all done with an airbrush. Very effective. They got a big rattle chamber in it, And ordinarily, a black crank would be a go-to bait in this muddy water, but today it was so muddy.
Right.
Now I had to run this, as you know, all the fish in the river basically are on the bottom, okay? So whatever you're using has to be in their strike zone. This will go down to 4 foot, and we were in that, but I had to run it fast enough to keep it down, but the speed I had to run it, I was running too fast for the mud for them to see it.
Right.
You know, unless it was right by them where they could pop at it.
Right.
So that wasn't overly effective today, only because it's such a muddy swirl.
Yeah. Yeah. And you now this is the size. I think you can hear that rattle.
Oh,
in there.
it's very loud.
Now this is the same size you use. Or you use a heavier lip, or this is
No,
about,
I use that one just in different colors. Fantastic bait.
Okay.
Meat and potatoes.
The killer.
Yep.
It's pretty simple, but it's
Pretty simple. It's a 3-inch black tube. I think it's a venom tube. I'm not sure, but I believe so. I keep them in the bag of 50 around here just for these occasions.
Right.
And I also, if you recall, when we were up there, I put a glass rattle in it.
Right. Right.
Anything to help, but you see, I could fish that very, very slow. And even though I got caught a lot,
Right.
The fish were finding it because I was all the time just trying to hop it in one place, and the current was moving it. And all I was doing is trying to twitch it up maybe 3 inches.
Yeah. And that's the only thing is, if you're going to use this bait, you expect to lose this bait.
Oh yeah, bring several, maybe more than several.
Yeah. Yeah. That they do. But again, there's the tricks of the trade where you're popping it loose with the line and stuff like that. But now, size-wise, again, what size I think?
That's a 3-inch.
Yeah,
I don't use
3/8.
the big the big ones. Inside it is a standard tube jig, 1/4 ounce.
Quarter ounce. That worked because you don't. I mean, you had light line in your estimation on this.
Right,
thing,
right.
But it cast very well with it, and you had a lot of sensitivity with that too.
A lot of
That
sensitivity.
was very, very important. And that's the tackle box.
Stay down there, Mr. Fish. You gotta fight them in the water. Don't let them jump. There we go. That's a nice fish.
There you go.
Well, now, we're gonna let you go here. Cooperate with me. All right.
Well, Lance, you hold on to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to shake your hand here. I want to thank you for bringing us up here. We had a great time. Well, we always have a great time because we always laugh and have good.
Oh,
and
yeah,
we worked
it's always
hard
fun.
for these fish today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was really hard. You get a chance, go to Lance's website. I'll tell you all the good stuff. Find it all. Go to our website, Delaware Valley Outdoors. I'm Bob Murray. I'll see you on the water. All right, big boy.
Let this one go. Yeah, little fish.
Oh, hey,
Sorry.
hey, where,
Sorry, little fish.
where'd you catch him, Lance?
It's a tweeter. Another 3-year-old. Oh, there you go.
Another long line.
Yeah. Hook. Stir.